while I'm on the subject of Bama, I should really quickly reference, by the way, that Bama just annihilated Arkansas. And this was one, if you listen to this show, if you read my tweets at Aaron_Torres, like I even said, Arkansas opened as a 35-point underdog to Bama, and this was even after it became clear that Tua Tagovailoa wasn't going to play. And I said, and I think my exact quote, I used the word bro in my tweet. Now, why did I use the word bro in my tweet? I'm not really sure. But I said something to the effect of, bro, if Arkansas loses to this Alabama team as a 35-point underdog, if they can't, I don't want to say if they lose. If they can't cover the spread against this Alabama team as a 35-point underdog, they should shut down the program. And I was kind of joking, but in hindsight, I don't know if I should have been joking. Because you know what Arkansas did? They fell behind 17-0 in the first quarter to Bama. And again, let's keep in mind, this isn't vintage Bama. This is Bama without Tua Tagovailoa. This is Bama that was ranked 6th in the SEC in rushing coming into this game, as in they weren't really running the ball all that well. This was a team that I should mention was 8th in defense. This was a Bama team that was 8th in defense in the SEC coming into this game. This is a Bama team that we should mention that a few weeks ago in their SEC opener against South Carolina gave up close to 500 yards of total offense and over 350 yards passing. This is the same Bama team that against Ole Miss with a freshman quarterback, a true freshman quarterback against Ole Miss put up 31 points and they put up almost 500 yards of total offense. This is not a vintage Bama team. And so my takeaway is, I know we want to talk about Bama and they're shoring up all the loose ends and Mac Jones looked good as the backup quarterback. You know what my takeaway was? This was a low point. This was an embarrassment for the University of Arkansas. And I haven't spent a ton of time talking about Arkansas on this podcast because they haven't won an SEC game this year. They didn't win an SEC game last year. And there's no reason to really talk about them. This is a national college sports podcast, talk college football, talk college basketball. I shouldn't talk Arkansas in the same way that, let's be honest, I shouldn't talk Washington State basketball when it's basketball season. I shouldn't talk Vandy basketball during basketball season. I shouldn't talk Iowa basketball during basketball season because those programs are irrelevant. And let's be honest, Arkansas is irrelevant too. The only reason they are relevant is because of how miserably bad they are. And I thought this was a game that epitomized everything that's wrong with this program. And here's my quick thing on Arkansas. Most of you guys probably didn't watch much of this game because it was a blowout. But here's the thing. Like I said, this is not a vintage Bama team. This is a Bama team that teams have moved the ball against. And this is a team that I think Arkansas should have been able to move the ball against. And instead, what do? First drive, they're moving the ball. Things are going good. Fumble, recovery by Bama. Second drive, things are going good. What do? Interception by Bama. Third drive, interception. And it's like all of a sudden, Bama is capitalizing on every single one of those plays. And so to me, what this goes back to is very simply this, is I am so disappointed in Chad Morris. And I'm not a guy, I don't do the over-dramatic college coach thing, right? I try to be level-headed about this. Even when Tennessee was losing to BYU and losing to Georgia Southern, I kept saying, let's just give Jeremy Pruitt time. Maybe this thing will get figured out. Now it has been. He's been really good. The only time I really go after a coach is if I think they're a fraud like Kirby Smart, where the only reason I went at Kirby Smart was because I'm sitting here saying, dude, you can't claim that you should be in the college football playoff if you lose games to the best teams you play. That's the only time I really remember really going after a coach. I mean, even Jim Harbaugh, I've said, yeah, you got to beat Army more convincingly, and you got to beat Iowa more convincingly. But when he's losing games, I said, I don't know, man. I think this guy's not as bad as people think he is. And so I bring it up with Chad Morris because I'm hesitant to go after coaches. But when I watch Arkansas, this is what I see. I see a coach with a play sheet. Literally, the man has the biggest play sheet I've ever seen in my life. And they can't execute the basics. You don't need a play sheet the size of South Dakota if you can't tackle and you can't catch the ball, and you can't run the ball without fumbling, and your quarterback can't drop back in the pocket without throwing it to the other team. Stop with the play sheet that's half the size of a freaking Dakota and figure out the basics. And this is the part that drives me crazy, and this was the part that drove me crazy watching this game. And this is why I'm so fired up. I don't even know why I'm so fired up. You guys, it's Monday. You're driving to work. You're driving home from work. You just want to get home. You don't want to hear me yelling about Chad Morris. But it's like, it is so ridiculous to me, these coaches. And I'll say this, is that, like, you have to show progress at some point. And again, I'm not trying to go after all these coaches. But you look across the SEC, let's be honest. Like I said, Jeremy Pruitt is turning things around at Tennessee. They beat South Carolina the other day. They beat Mississippi State the other day. Ole Miss, Matt Luke, that guy was an offensive line coach 3 years ago, and he has Ole Miss going in the right direction. Maybe gets bowl eligible this year after all those NCAA sanctions. I'm just thinking Derek Mason at Vandy has Vandy playing hard. We're going to get to Mark Stoops in a minute, who I think should be SEC Coach of the Year with what he's doing. He's got a fourth-string quarterback that's a wide receiver, and he's winning games. And I got Chad Morris over there with his play sheet that's the size of South Dakota, and they can't move the ball. They can't throw a simple pitch and catch without an interception. And so this is the part that drives me crazy. I'm going random. I'm going off script here. I'm so mad because I see these coaches and it's like, dude, who do you think you're impressing with a play sheet that covers up half your body? That's the size of a small child. No one. Figure out the basics, get it figured out, and be better. And again, I don't think that I'm that critical of coaches, but when you're 0-5 in the SEC already, when you went 0-8 last year, and that you're really realistically now looking at potentially 2 straight losing seasons in the SEC without a single SEC win, like, you got to figure it out, and you got to get back to the basics, and you can't have quarterbacks throwing interceptions every play. And by the way, it's week 9, and he still doesn't know who his quarterback is. So that drives me crazy. I know the story was Bama. Bama looking good. The backup quarterback looks good. They're getting ready for LSU. But the story to me was Arkansas. You got to be better. You can't be moving the ball and turning it over and missing tackles and quitting on your coach. And you can't have your coach sitting there with a play sheet the size of a small child if you can't do the basics. So that's my Arkansas rant. And I actually think that it leads perfectly into my Kentucky rant, because while Chad Morris, it can't even see the field over his play sheet,